one time, just update what I was saying earlier, doing my earlier live. A lot of y'all are gonna watch that and you're gonna be like, okay, what position is he coming from or whatever. So I want to reiterate. When I underline the word segment, I mean a portion. Okay, it means a portion. I know a lot of people in the whole YouTube atmosphere like to reiterate things, present them the way they want to, chop things up, edit things, put a narrative behind it, and then ship it off to everybody on YouTube. And as we know, people pay more attention to YouTubers than they do to actual fucking journalists. So, unfortunately enough, there will be a lot of people that will screw and tear apart and try to unpack what I said earlier, and I stand on every last bit of it. Like I said, the mayor of Connecticut, excuse me, the governor of Connecticut, Ned Lamont, who's from the constituency I live in, Fairfield County, for some reason or another, and 20 other states that are being sued right now currently of misappropriating funds from the COVID-19 relief bill. All right. Now, there's been two of these sent out, and there's a third one being sent out right now, which is an infrastructure bill, which on top of that, states will receive even more of the billions. Okay. So the first question I asked was, where's the money going? Because right now, only thing we see sitting in Connecticut is one program. If you go back to work, it's allotted up to 10,000 people. It should be 100,000 plus, but it's allotted up to 10,000 people, and you get a $1,000 bonus. That trickles off into me if I'm saying somewhere around about, what is that, 10,000 people? That's about $100,000, isn't it? So when we talk about misappropriating funds and things like that, I mean, there's been two people right now, currently, in this constituency that's been caught taking money from the COVID-19 relief bill. One guy got caught, and this is the thing. He's right outside the county, Hartford County, which is where the freaking governor's mansion is. So with that said, that was my one thing on that. Now, I want to speak about the Mammies. There is a segment of black women within our culture, and there's white women within white men's culture, and there's a segment of Latin women in Latin culture as well. And these women believe through the route of toxic feminism and a whole bunch of other different outlets that they use as a narrative in society of this victim shit. They use a narrative that's almost condescending, meaning if you don't agree with the group thought, you will be attacked. I'll say that again for you. If you don't agree with the group thought, you will be attacked for being now posed at one time being an ideologist, now time being a separatist because, hey, if you don't think like we do, then, you know, it's one way, it's absolutes. Absolutes. Absolutes and conjectures. That's all it is. And that's what rules the internet world, so we all know that. And I know that by lives I could do with 2,600 people on it versus when I'm talking about something political or something like that, I get only maybe, 100 people within an hour or two to see it. So I know the difference. A lot of women are now narrated by gossip, now narrated by drama, now narrated by a lot of different outlets. And the reason they're narrated by those outlets now is because of women that have produced toxic ass material. And I'll say it again, women that have produced toxic ass material. And when they produce this toxic material, it now becomes a motive. Now, I don't care what anybody says, all right? Mona Scott produced not only Love and Hip Hop, not only the Housewives and such, fuck this month, this year, and whatever. All these programs now in contention about, 15 to 20 years already? Whether it's the original formula or reiteration of the formula, and they, sell it back to you like it's fucking brand new. Now, a lot of my new viewers, you're going to be like, well, who the fuck is this guy? I'm Davin Lewis. I was part of Bad Boy Entertainment for over 17 years. I think I know a little bit about motherfucking music artists and media. This is the point. If you look at where the trajectory in media is right now, it is narrating your little girls to do some of the most obnoxious shit. Miley Cyrus came in, did this twerk shit, she was ratchet and everything fucking else, and now the next thing I know, this motherfucking broad goes back to singing in fucking fields with flowers and shit. You understand what I'm saying? She went back to singing in fields with flowers and shit. Disney 2.0. This is what Miley Cyrus did. I ain't telling no fucking lies. Tell me something different. Miley Cyrus narrated your children for that 1, 2, 3, 4, let's say 4 years. Narrated their whole existence, everything. No. Y'all can all play around and pretend and act like everything is all right. Our women don't have no problems. Our women are not in danger. Yes, and if you love them, you'll tell them. If you love them, you'll tell them. If you love them, you'll check them. I have never seen in my life where you actually have women that are like physically are challenging men. Now, that's a whole different thing, because let me tell you something, right? If you come at me, I've known several guys now, different. Joe Rogan talked about this on his show, all right? Joe Rogan talked about this on his show. I know now several men that I've heard this story, and I've now seen several men that have actually died because women have killed them. For whatever various reasons or whatever, but one thing that's underlined, it wasn't because of abuse. It wasn't because of abuse. If a man is cheating on you, that's not abuse. And vice versa. Because right there at that point, you make a decision if you're going to continue to deal with it or not. And some women stay, depending on what the monetary benefit of it is, they stay. Don't tell me anything fucking different. I lived on the shoreline of Connecticut for years. I had a woman, I moved in, she stayed with me for 7 years and still cheated. It's a mentality. And we serving this shit to the kids like it's nothing. All of them, black, white, Latin, let's fucking out of here. You see Travis Scott's concert, look at the footage. You'll see all kinds of nationalities out there. Why? Because it's fucking Travis Scott. That's all it needs to be, it's just Travis Scott. Now I don't know how that's gonna lay over now, because he's getting, I said it the night before last on my podcast. If you didn't watch it, go back, it's about 2 hours long, and you'll hear me, everything that I said in order, in sequence happen. I said once that first lawsuit comes through, then you're gonna see a flood of them. Now, the only reason that Drake's not being implemented as much is because of his worth, I think. You know, but he's dating the Jenner, you know, so, you know, that's family ties. He's got Shapiro still there. Shapiro ought to be able to do something for him, you know, but you're going to pay some money out, kid. You're going to pay some money out. And so is Drake. That shit was sloppy by Live Nation. It was sloppy. That kid to keep on performing, when you see people out there pass the fuck out, sloppy. And whoever was under management, y'all sloppy. And I hate to coattail this to this Live Nation itself. I think this is a group of individuals, because I know how it works. I know how to work in a team. I worked in a team for 17 years at Bad Boy. I had to work with a team. We all unison got to have the same idea. So somebody in unison had some idea that it was all right to stop. So this is why I'm saying this is the shit that influences your girls, because there were girls there, young girls. The youngest victim, I think, there was 14 years old. You understand? 14. And this has happened before. I pointed it out. I remember when it happened in Rhode Island. I remember when it happened. Well, I don't remember when it happened, but I heard about the Who concert years ago. And so I knew like these stampedes and things like that, they could happen at concerts. But the imagery is now being questioned, not only by, well, I've questioned it myself, and I explained it to you in my last live, 2 lives actually. Excuse me, y'all, I'm doing something, that's why the camera's moving. I explained it to you, and I said to you, there were some ideologies that I agreed with of y'all, that y'all shared, about how y'all thought that was something like the Baphomet or something like that or whatever. And I came to court, and I said, no, I don't think it was Travis Scott. And he said exactly what I said he said. I thought he would say. And that was, he didn't know who did the set design. And I said that the set designer set that up. You know, you can implement a couple of ideas, but set designer set that up. And I said that in my live. I know this because we done dealt with over, in my time there at the company, we probably dealt with at least 70 different artists. You know what I mean? Most of them Billboard, most of them top tier people. You know, Black Rob, Jesus Christ Shine. List goes on. I mean, I put up pictures, videos all the time, so, you know, it's authentic. Matter of fact, I can go down and check out this about 2 posts ago, maybe 3 posts ago. I put up some footage of me actually recording 24 Hours to Live in the studio at Daddy's House Recording Studio with Puff. So if y'all just hit my name and just hit videos, you go down there and see the making of the song that I'm actually selling right now. I was one of the last artists, honestly and truthfully, one of the last, I won't say the last, but one of the last at Daddy's House Recording Studio. That's a fact. Like the last time I was up there, Haitian Fresh, who's Wyclif's artist, came in my room. You know what I'm saying? And so I appreciate that, man. I'll never forget that to this day. That was a good time. Shout out to Haitian Fresh, man. Wyclef John, artist. I don't know what he's doing with him, but I'm pretty sure he's still moving them. You know, a lot of people think because you don't see these guys or whatever, these guys find different avenues, man. Merchandise, fucking CBD companies. There's fucking millions out here. Why do you think I always talk about investing with you guys? Because I do. You know what I mean? The thing of being a worker and having pride of being a worker of traditional value anymore is not existent in America. You get your mediocre or help you pay your bills. That's it. Pretend all you want to. But your girls nowadays have grabbed onto a diatribe that being luxury first means everything. And they get it from these concerts, they get it from these artists or whatever. Let me tell you something. I said it before, and I'll say it again. A lot of these girls that are out here and they're portraying these lifestyles or whatever come from homes that never made more than $20,000 in a fucking year. Okay, now that's just the cold hard truth. So that means they never had it before, they never been around it before, they don't know. And I had to learn this difference as the years went by. And it really didn't pick up onto it until like 6 or 7 years ago when I finally started saying to myself, okay, I see something now. There's people that I hang out with that I know that have not had the same experiences as me. You ain't been down to Miami and hung out at the Cleveland and stayed. You ain't been to LA and then the dream. You ain't been to Texas and been to, you know, so it's like, if you're a person that's done that year after year after year after year after year after year for 17 fucking years plus, you start getting adjusted, you start getting adapted to being used to certain shit. And when that shit is taken away, I can tell you firsthand, you gonna feel shitty as fuck. I was no more around Lamborghinis and Bentleys and all that shit or whatever. I ended up sleeping on the train for a minute. So I always keep a buck with that shit, you know, and I pull myself out of that. But and I encourage anybody else that's in that situation to pull yourself out too. I mean, I had not been for that background with Diddy and with Bad Boy Entertainment, I probably couldn't have done that. You know what I mean? So, you know, I will give it to that and hold praise to that. But long story short, I help promote artists that influenced your daughters. And these daughters became mothers. I did it in the early 2000s all the way up to 2015. The last artist I helped promote was French Montana, and that was his first album. Actually, it was, no, I take that back. It wasn't French Montana. It was actually one more artist after that. But near the last, it was French Montana when we went to Interscope as a distributor. So I know these artists, I know what they do or whatever, and I know what they say in their music more coherently now as an adult than I did at the time. I had been in the music business since I was a kid. You know what I mean? Like literally, we were kids when we started with it. And we started up putting up fucking poster boards all across the city, poster boards on freaking everywhere. That's what we did. And then everybody graduated up to Rock Boys, and then, you know, Revolt TV, which was right around the corner here. We did the launch at it at the Time Warner building. So it was some interesting times, man, for that 17 years or whatever. But this is now. So I'm not, you know, reinventing myself. And I can make adjustments and precautions and say, okay, this is not right to promote this type of music. Like, even if you notice when I share music, I don't share certain type of music with certain audiences at certain times because and more predominantly on like other points of social media I use. I do that purposely because I know there's a group of kids that might be up or whatever, you know, and I don't want that influence to bad your part. So, I don't know. Other than that, man, protect your daughters, y'all. Protect your daughters. Protect your daughters. It's all right to put a lock on that smart TV. It's all right to put a lock on that fucking tablet. It's all right to tell them, hey, go read a fucking book for 5 minutes. I don't have any kids. I don't want to tell you how to raise your kids, but I do have nieces and nephews. And one thing I can tell you, seeing their whole life grow up, I'm glad how my sisters and their men helped rear them. And I'm proud of both of them. One of them's the Air Force, you know, so, and one of them's on his way to the Marines. Voluntarily, and I like that. So one thing I tell you guys is this, more importantly than anything, just make sure that you keep your pride. Ladies, you gotta learn how to adapt to some ways, because at the end of this, and I'm not trying to make this a racial statement, but we are your men. Latina and black women, we are your men. And if you're worried about who got your back, but you're walking around daily throwing your nose up to people, being rude to people, being nasty, being belligerent, starting fights, starting arguments, I've seen it all. And I'm like, what happened? Because I can remember just short of 20 years ago, the vibe was totally different. The vibe was totally different. And some of these people are running around talking about, you know, Black Lives this, Black Lives that, whatever. Cut that shit out. Like, more importantly, let me point this out real quick. This is for New York City. All right, this is New York City tri-state. Even though I live in fucking Connecticut, I done live, breathe, walk through this city for years. Let me tell you something about fucking this little group of Black Lives Matter motherfuckers that went down there and talked to Eric Adams any kind of fucking way they wanted to and gave him his ass, gave him their ass to kiss. You motherfuckers ought to be ashamed of yourself. First of all, you ain't got the best fucking reputation right now. And I mean that honestly and truthfully, Black Lives Matter, respectfully. But at the same fucking time, you ain't got the best reputation in the fucking patch right now. Okay? Let's not pretend. All right? Now, I ain't seen none of these guys that were there on camera now screaming and shouting at Eric Adams. So let's take it from the premise of what I said once before. These people were doing this within the culture because they felt that this man was now obligated because of his skin tone. That's the bullshit. So you're gonna go there and this man has not even been sworn in yet. Trying to direct the narrative. Oh, we gonna get in here now because he marched with us. He helped your imagery. He's a police officer, or former police officer. He helped your imagery. And I didn't see any of y'all flying out to Oregon. I ain't see any of those Black Lives Matter members here in New York City tri-state, fly out to Seattle or whatever. When them motherfuckers were out there and they were straight hand telling you, we are confiscating your movement and we're turning it into an Antifa-based ideals strategy. Nobody. So how dare you? Give me 1 second. That gets my blood going sometimes when I talk about shit like that. How dare you guys go down there to that man's office after he's giving you a meeting and a sitting and really there to offer you counsel. There's nothing you can argue him down about. He was a police sergeant. What are you going to argue him down about? No, it's the way I want it to be. That's why I said this delusional state that people are in. No, it's my way. No, it's not your fucking way. You know what I mean? And it's these overinflated egos and these overinflated, like, narcissist perceptions that people have of themselves. Well, let's say at a 40% margin of error, it's just not worth it. Like, I know when I see a trailer park motherfucker, for instance. You understand what I'm saying? I can tell what the background you come from, even if you dress nice. Even if you're from another country, especially if you're from another country, I can definitely tell. Like, a lot of people come to this country, and they're all welcome, but a lot of people come to this country and act like they come from, you know, they lived in the castle by the beach. Motherfucker, you lived in the jungle, poor. And I applaud you for getting out of that situation. But so many people, there's a term in Spanish and Latin culture, it's called jibara and jibaro. Okay, these are people para la campos, the country. Okay? Now this is real. These people from the country. Yeah, they're from the island, but they're from the country. And most of the island, the politics, the way of lifestyle and everything, same thing. It's slow in comparison to New York. Hell, you could fit the island of Manhattan into the Barbados and still have some more room. Put it that way. So these are small constituencies across the Caribbean, across the world, really, in comparison to what? France, Italy, Monaco, New York. Where the fuck else? What's another? Prague or some shit like that? I think Prague's not that big either. One of the guys I know that was an artist, he went to Prague to perform. I don't think it's that big either. Beautiful place, but I don't think it's that big. You got people sending y'all a narrative, man. A lot of people is involved in the narrative, pushing the narrative online. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people. A lot of your favorite vloggers on YouTube are involved in it. A lot of people on YouTube get all these conspiracy theories to talk about the Illuminati and all this bullshit or whatever, right? And you're free to think what you want to. This is your world. It's your world. And this narcissistic diatribe we have going on right now, it's your world. It's your world. Everybody's equal. No, everybody's not fucking equal. Okay? In fact, one of the biggest mistakes you can make is treating everybody equal. Because they're no type of demand a certain type of liberal. You know, Malcolm X said this. He said, yeah, don't ever trust liberals. Don't ever trust liberals. And every agenda I hear, even from the women's agenda to the whatever agenda, all has to do with politics currently. And the execution of them and the lack of time that they couldn't conserve in doing so. Now, one thing people didn't realize was this. The first time that they had to do the fucking COVID bill, they waited like, I think it was like 9 months. Then this time they went about a good 6 months. They had the shit passed months ago, guys. Months ago. None of this included any type of benefits for the people. So that's why, once again, I say the same thing. When you look at these cities that are across, it's like 23 of them right now that's actively getting sued for stealing money from COVID relief money bills. All right, so there's a first and second. It comes in allotments. Now, I'm not sure how the allotments go and how it's distributed, but I do know this much. They got money from the first bill and the second bill. Now, I'm talking about my state right now, Connecticut. They've already had 2 of them caught in the goddamn governor's mansion's constituency. I can't make this shit up. I can talk shit about Ned Lamont. Ned Lamont is from the Stanford Greenwich area. I can talk shit about it. And I'm going to continue to talk shit about it. As a Connecticut resident, I can talk about Ned Lamont. You have 2 people that stole money from the COVID relief bill. You got 23 states collectively getting sued on one angle or another for the same thing, misappropriating funds from the COVID relief bills. I'm gonna end out with one thing, speaking of women, because I should have talked about this earlier, and I'm gonna talk about it right now. Speaking of girls, and I don't have a name right now, there's a brave girl right now, down of all places, fucking Howard University. Believe this? This is why I now believe Boyce Watkins when he said these HBCUs ain't shit. Now, this sister, along with some other ones, are sitting outside. When I mean some other ones, I'm talking about 20 plus people. I ain't talking about like 5 or 6 people. Fuck that, we won't go. I ain't talking about that type of shit. I'm talking about a political movement after 30 days.
Okay, so what's yours?
Justly so.
Then as far as
At Howard University. These are black students. These are black students. Well, let me tell you some shit I found out about Howard University. First of all, Howard University, okay, let me tell y'all what's going on, then I'm gonna tell y'all about Howard University real quick, because this gotta be talked about. Now, I'm glad I brought this up and I'm gonna retitle this, but it's still the same Mammy syndrome that I'm talking about, and how I keep telling you, I think a lot of these guys within the culture are out to topple one another, and I can't have that. Can't have it. Can't have it. And whether it's 16 and pregnant with white kids, or whether it's the teenage pregnancy of black and Latin kids, they all a motherfucking problem. The ideals are a problem. So let me tell you what happened here. These guys, as you know, Howard University is a historic HBCU. Okay? Historically black college founded by Jewish fellas. Let's be honest. They were Jewish. Thank you. So traditionally, we all thought that this was an African-American school throughout the diaspora of the DC area and the United States. But we find out now that the past 20 years, Howard University ain't been about shit, but publicity. Publicity. Yes, your traditional all-black college with your children and what some of you parents save up years for them to go to. These motherfuckers fucking. So I'm gonna take my audience and talk about that for a minute, because it needs to be talked about. And I think if you're a parent or you have a family member that's in an HBCU, you should start questioning these motherfuckers and listen to everything I have to say right now. Because this is the part that a lot of these guys ain't miss. That's what I like, and that's why when I do my thing here on YouTube, I always like to get at the things that people miss. The things people miss are more important, and be able to projectively see where they're going. I'm very good at that because I worked in marketing before they had motherfucking internet. Don't forget, I worked at a motherfucking record company for 17 years. And I curse a lot too. I'm a tri-state guy. I curse a lot. If this is your first time here, shit, I don't know what to tell you. All right. These students are protesting down at Howard University right now currently, and there's multitudes of different races of women down there, so I want to make that as specific as I can. They're protesting the living conditions of their student housing. Now, when you look at this, some of the videos, you see leaking sinks, you see leaking pipes, you see feces from what I'm assuming will be a rat. You're seeing all kinds of just like filthy shit. And your students, your kids, if they go to Howard University right now, this is what they're living in that dorm. Now, as a resolution, these students decided, they said, you know what? Let's take it outside, because we're not staying up in here. And I don't blame them. Do you know how much it costs to go to Howard University? For the same price you can go to Howard University, you can take your ass to my state to go to Yale, damn near. Depending on what you're studying. Depending on what you're studying. Because the average student at Yale only takes, what, $58,000? Somewhere along the way, these students started protesting more and more and more. They are now on day 28. Day 28. Now, the Spreadrick guy, who's now the dean or chancellor or whatever you want to call it of the school now, I believe the dean and president, he raised some suspicion for me because he's a Frenchman. And I don't mean that in any type of way. I just mean it in some way or another, his ethnicity doesn't derive from Americans. That's all I mean. Somewhere either Caribbean or European. It's French, heavily French. Now, I'm a firm believer in just because a motherfucker got the education don't mean he deserved that position type of guys. I've always been like that. Just because he got the education don't mean he deserved that position type of guy. I believe that with a lot of people now that y'all are pointing out in constituencies, whether it be presidential or whatever, and I've said this in front of Trump Tower, and I'll say it again. And I'm no Trump supporter, but I'll say it again. The politics of the world right now and the endeavors of the world and people being so philanthropic to motherfuckers that are already rich is beyond me. Here's another case and example of that, and this is what they miss. Howard University got an endowment of $21 million. Okay, one round, donated to for some type of center that's going to be for research or another whatever. I'm not sure what type of research specifically, but for research. Howard University also got $13 million donated to them from another organization that collectively, as donors, donated there. Howard University also got another endowment of $113 million to work in some other endeavors. And you telling me that a girl, a black woman that's down there right now, sitting on front line with almost close to 40 different students sitting in front of this hall protesting right now, they gotta live in squalor and housing. I went to college. It's some of the best fucking years of your life, and you'll never get them back if you try. You'll never get them back. My housing was in Queens, so I lived off campus. But I can tell you this fucking much, right? We didn't live in no fucking squalor. That much is for sure. We didn't live in no squalor. They got these kids down at Howard University living in squalor. And you paying for it, parents. And this story's not out more than enough than it needs to be. But sooner or later, it's going to be done and justified when the national markets start picking it up a little bit more. I saw BNC picked it up, and I had heard about it, but I didn't actually get to see the footage until this today. And that footage was disgusting. Imagine you paid for your student, your child, to go to college, and there's leaking fucking closets, there's leaking sinks, to the point that is so deplorable that the students now have to go out in front of the same housing and protest to the dean, who's also black. They're making your kids beg. Giving you that ass kiss once again. If you're new to the channel, I also smoke on camera. Today's terms and these old blacks and these mid-tier blacks that came from them, They have no more than the aspiration to try to be something that they're not. No, you have to grow up like this. And you can't do it overnight with one generation. I elected myself to get around street shit. I don't come from that. I come from engineers. My uncle worked in Norfolk and Western Norfolk and Southern. My uncle Donald worked at GE and development for years. I don't come from the trash people. I have military people all throughout my family. Family that's lived in Europe. I don't come from the trash family. And a lot of y'all don't either. You see what y'all saying in chat. Since the story of Harvey Calvert came out, I haven't heard anything else. All the money from the tuition school should have never been that type of predicament. All the money from that predicament, shit. Let me tell you, they got millions of dollars. So what the question is what the fuck is Howard University doing with your money? And I'll tell you once again, repurposing it. You guys have got to start getting familiar with that term, repurpose. Because you're going to see a lot of different people try to do this. Because there's a lot of funds going out. There's a lot of donors that are feeling specifically philanthropic to other motherfucking millionaires in the fright of fucking taxes being heightened by this motherfucking infrastructure bill that just got passed. So there's going to be a lot of swindling shit going on. I think actually passing that type of stimulus actually was a bad idea because you're forcing businesses now to actually charge more, in my opinion. Two, not only you make them charge more, but you're gonna make them pay more too, so that's gonna fuck things up. It might not do it for the first year or two, whatever, but it'll do it probably like 5 years out. I don't know what to tell you guys with this, and I'm gonna end out with this. There's no reason whatsoever that Howard University should be able to collect that much money from philanthropic people, donors, or whatever. And now, at the point now we have it, you have those students in front of the school at a black university protesting because their fucking black dean is finding it not important enough to clean student housing up. After collectively you taking in $150 million in the past 2 years. Come on, motherfucker. Come on. These are, like I said, once again, you got to stop following these narratives of these motherfuckers. Like, a lot of people, somebody's pushing smart shit on my page. They said, oh, you just saying that because you live in Stanford. Candace Owens from out there, ain't she? What the fuck does Candace Owens being from Stanford have to do with anything? And Candace Owens ain't that bad of a woman. To be quite honest with you, she's a local fixture. Jen Psaki, the U.S. Press Secretary also. Stanford, Connecticut, both of them. There's nothing wrong with them. Now, if you asking me if Candace kiss ass, yeah. Candace kiss a lot of ass. A lot of ass. I don't like ass kisses. But sometimes if you're not an ass kisser, you're going to run into people that don't like you because you ain't an ass kisser. But never be an ass kisser. Being an ass kisser will get you nowhere but being a servant. That's it, a servant. Subservient and sitting and waiting for nothing to ever come. Don't ever do that. Take that from somebody that worked in the music business for 17 years, 3 different distributors, Interscope, Atlantic Records, and BMG. And I can tell you that for a fact. There's guys at the tier that sit back and laugh at motherfuckers that go to a 9 to 5 every day. And I understand why. The money comes in quick. I ran my own business. Money comes in quick. Howard University is on front line right now. And no national outlets are picking it up. And I went into all the national outlets, including Fox and a couple other people that are part of those outlets, that somehow or another you got somebody, you know what I mean, in the mix. Because I've talked to a few people. I've gotten a few emails. Please let it be known what's going on at Howard University right now and how you have black students down there protesting against a black dean while they're taking tuition every year, while they're getting endowments up to $150 million, and they got black kids living in squat. Call up the motherfucking school. How did you get Felicia Rashad and able to afford her motherfucking shit and make sure all her shit right? That's what they're doing with the money. They're paying out salaries and they're paying out motherfucking stars to come to be part of the alumni. That's what they're doing with the money. And I guarantee you, as time going to progress, y'all remember I said that right here. That's what they're doing with the money. That's what they're doing with the money. The money is being misappropriated, is the term to put. Misappropriated. And it's going to come out. But Howard University, I want to tell you, you should be shaming yourself for having these fucking students that have paid their tuition be surmised to the fact that they have to protest in front of their own fucking door because of the living conditions. You are a piece of shit, not only to the culture, but every time that some shit like this happens, point these motherfuckers out. Y'all want to point out rappers, y'all want to point out who's fucking who, and all this shit or whatever, who cheated on who's the it bitch for the week, you know what I mean? Who's the it motherfucker for the week? You want to talk about all that shit, but shit that hits home was going to affect you 5, 10 years ago now, you don't want to talk about it. Shit like this does that. These kids' college experience is ruined. I know this because my college experience got ruined. You understand what I'm saying? So I could get it. I had to stop school because the school I was going to shut down. How about that bullshit? I picked myself back up and went back, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. You almost feel let down because you feel like that whole experience is supposed to be enjoyable. So I know how those students right now, how they feel down at Howard University, and I just want to tell you guys once again, there's no fucking reason that these young black women and men should be sleeping in front of their fucking dorm right now at a black university. You gotta explain that shit. Y'all want answers for everything else. Hold on 1 second, guys. Y'all want answers for everything else, but you don't want the answer for that shit? Why are there black students at a black university with a black dean, got black kids sleeping in the front of their fucking dorm? And I ended at that. Guys, I'm out of here. I'll be back with you a little bit later, and I'll chop it up some more about this Howard University shit. I just think it's terrible, man. It's like, you got these kids sleeping in front of their own fucking dorm? No, alumni's got a problem too. All right, y'all done held me up. Hold on 1 second. Alumni's got a problem too, and I'm glad you said that. The alumni's got a problem here because they've been removed from some boards. So there was some collective board that they had where they had faculty and the students, they would vote in unison, all right? On particular issues, not everything inclusive, but on particular issues. What happened was they removed that option somehow or another, or either faded out and wasn't renewed, or, you know, amended, whatever you want to put. And as a result, the school's chancellor and the dean took power. So there's it used to be a board, and now there's no longer one. And to add to this, hold on 1 second, let me let this truck go by. To add to this, when I saw the report today, there was actually one of the faculty members in the interview. I'm going to try to find the interview and I'll put it into the description box, or I'll put it in the pinned comment. But it's actually somebody from the school that actually validates this, that they split the school so the student body and the chancellor is alumni. They don't have the power anymore. So it's all elected up to the dean and a few other officials of the school. It's a tragedy either way it goes. You have black students at a black college under deplorable conditions that pay their tuition or are paying their tuition, and a black dean has nothing to say but, we'll get it together. They shouldn't even be in front of the fucking school. They should be in hotels. You took in $150 million in 1 year, collectively. So like I told you, a lot of these black folks that are out here that say, oh, we for the culture or whatever, these motherfuckers are lying to you. And if you have a kid that's getting ready to possibly go to Howard University, I would tell you, think about that shit. I ask, can I get money back? I'm out.